Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Because I never thought I was afraid. Even during the worst of my times, which I'll tell you about in just a minute, but even in my worst of days, even in the worst of my days, if you would have asked me if I was afraid, I would have said no. So the fact that I am so in love with fear and so committed and devoted to helping people master fear is shocking to me as well.
Introducing a powerful new update from the Foojan app. Now with flexible subscription plans to fit your journey monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Our new AI-driven onboarding customizes your path to feeling better, faster, and enjoy a refreshed experience with stunning 3D interactive videos. Update now. Empower your inner voice with Foojan. Download today. Welcome to the Inner Voice, a Heartfelt Chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan Zain. I'm a psychotherapist, a coach, author, and the founder of the International Awareness Integration Institute. Today, I'm so excited that I will be talking with Rhonda Britten. She's an Emmy Award winner, repeat Oprah guest, and master coach who has changed lives in over 600 episodes of reality television, authored 4 bestsellers, including her seminal work, Fearless Living, which has been translated into 16 languages, and founded the Fearless Living Institute, home of Fearless Living Life Coach Certification Program, considered the Ivy League of life coaching training. She was the first life coach on television in the world and appeared for 3 seasons as the head life coach on the daytime NBC show Starting Over. Named its most valuable player by the New York Times and her Herald as America's favorite life coach. She brings the neuroscience of fear down to earth, giving you a path out of not being good enough using the wheels technology she developed that saved her own life. She's been read, she's been heard, and watched by millions, coached tens of thousands of clients, trained hundreds of coaches, and now wants to share all that she knows with you. In her book, in the series that is coming up, certifying the coaches, everything that she's known and she's learned, she's bringing it to you. So I had an amazing conversation with her, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Now be sure to subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through my website, foojanzain.com, or any of my social media platforms. Share your thoughts with me. Going at Foojan app, so you could go through 31 areas of your life and to create a fulfilling life for yourself. I love to hear from you. Anyway, whether through email or social media, and any of those, I truly love to hear from all of you and see what works for you. And without further ado, here's Rhonda Britten.
Listen up if you want to promote your personal growth and self-awareness. I found the Foojan app last month and I have been absolutely loving it. I personally have never learned guided meditation, but thanks to this app, I now have learned incredible tools for my own stress relief and emotional self-awareness. Not to mention, there are self-evaluation tools and professional coaching available to utilize however your journey to self-discovery takes you. Join Foojan today and redefine your life one step at a time.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zain, and Dr. Manoukian, 3 experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now. Rhonda Britten, everyone. I'm so excited to have you with me here at the show. I know that I hadn't heard from you, so I was kind of like, oh, she's going to be here. And then
I am going to be here. I am going to be here.
So, we didn't get to talk, and then suddenly we're here and we're connecting. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's going to be awesome. And we are going to be wonderful. And we're going to be fantastic together.
Yeah. We're just going to have fun. We're going to have play, and then we're going to talk about serious stuff also. So,
Yes.
your legacy and the legacy you're creating from here on is about you being the coach and being not only bringing your own experience into your books and into your work, but going way beyond of not only what you have experienced and brought up, but also going forward. And we want to talk about Fearless Living book that you've written, but tell me and everyone, why fear? Why you picked on out of all the emotions that are there? Why fear?
Well, I love that you asked me that, because if you would have told me, I've been doing this for 30 years. I started my business changing lives since 1995. And if you would have told me in 1994 or 92 or, 89 that I'd be talking about fear, I would have looked at you like you were crazy, because I never thought I was afraid. Even during the worst of my times, which I'll tell you about in just a minute, but even in my worst of days, even in the worst of my days, if you would have asked me if I was afraid, I would have said no. So the fact that I am so in love with fear and so committed and devoted to helping people master fear is shocking to me as well. But let me tell you about the worst day of my life, and I think we'll see a pattern there about how I got here. I believe that the worst days of our lives are where our destiny lies, the seeds of our destiny. And my worst day was when I was 14 years old. And I grew up in a little tiny town in Upper Michigan, 360 inches of snow a year. By the way, this year it snowed May 15th. So I'm just saying, it snowed May 15th, and it was like blizzarding out on May 15th. That's where I grew up. And my parents had recently separated. They were in the process of getting divorced. And it was Father's Day, and my father was coming to take us all out to brunch, me and my two sisters and my mom. And so me and my mom in her bedroom, and she's fluffing up her beehive hairdo and putting on a rose-colored lipstick and a blue eyeshadow. And my father comes in the back door. Come on, girls, that's what dads do. And my two sisters are fighting it out in our one bathroom. And me and my mom start walking outside towards the back door to go out with my dad. My sister's still in the bathroom fighting it out. And as we go outside, it's starting to sprinkle. So my dad says he's got to get his coat from the car. Now, this coat is a tan Naugahyde leisure suit coat. For the people that are old enough to remember tan Naugahyde leisure suit coats, they looked hot. They were hot. So my dad was opening his trunk to get his coat, and I noticed out of the corner of my eye that he did not grab a coat, but he grabbed a gun. And he started yelling at my mother, "You made me do this. You made me do this." And he fires. And I start screaming, "Dad, what are you doing? Dad, what are you doing? Stop." And he cocks the gun again, points it at me. And I absolutely believe I'm next. And the gun's in between us, and he blinks and I blink, and he blinks and I blink. And then my mother, literally with her last breath, screams, "No, don't." She sees what's happening. My father, recognizing that my mother is not dead, so he takes that bullet intended for me and shoots my mother a second time. And that second bullet goes through my mother's abdomen, out her back, lands in the car horn. And for the next 20 minutes, all I hear is, "Eh." And then my father cocks the gun a third time, puts it to his head, and fires. So in a matter of 2 minutes, I was the sole witness of watching my father murder my mother and commit suicide in front of me. Now, I don't know how you'd respond, but this is how I responded. It's my fault. I was the only one physically out there that could have changed it, right? I didn't kick my father's shins. I didn't grab the gun. I didn't even jump in front of my mother. I did nothing except say, "Dad, stop, Dad, stop," right? And so that moment, I like to say, I split into two. It became the outside Rhonda and the inside Rhonda. The outside Rhonda, "I'm fine. No, I'm good. I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I forgive him. No, I'm done. Yeah, forgive him. We're good. I'm good." Inside, guilt, shame. And oh, by the way, when you witness your mother being killed and you don't save her, happiness is off the table. You don't get to be happy ever again. So for the next 20 years, I battled these two people, because on one hand, I was a straight A student. I got a full scholarship to college. So on the outside, it was like, I'm fine. But on the inside, I didn't know how to deal with all that, right? How do you deal with all of that? So I started drinking, found alcohol, eventually became an alcoholic, I got 3 DUIs, and eventually tried to kill myself 3 times. And it was that third suicide attempt that I realized I'm not very good at killing myself, not good at it. And I need another way. And I remember, by the way, when you do try to kill yourself a third time, they do put you in a psychiatric ward for evaluation. And they deemed me not crazy, let me go. And I remember getting home from the hospital and thinking to myself, for the last all the time since my parents died, so at the age of 14, I have read books, I have gone to therapy, I visited shamans, I've done inner child work. You name it, I have done it. I have done it all. So I had a lot of knowledge, right? I knew a lot of things. I could talk about anything, right? From a spiritual perspective, a psychological perspective, et cetera, et cetera. I knew, but I didn't know how it worked for me. I didn't know how to apply it to my life, which I'm sure you encounter all the time. And so I remember saying to myself, I gotta start over, because everything I've done, all the therapy I've had, all the books I've read, all the workshops I've done, they have not changed my life. They've not gotten me where I need to go. They've not gotten me on the other side of this. I'm still trying to kill myself. And so I remember thinking to myself, what do kindergartners do? Well, they use a calendar and gold stars. So I actually went to the store, got a calendar, got some gold stars. And by the way, I still have this calendar in my office right now. I still have this calendar, which I'm so glad I do. And every day for the next 30 days, I gave myself a gold star anytime I did anything remotely possible and positive. And I'm talking about getting angry and not breaking anything, or having one drink and not getting drunk. So we're not talking about evolved here. We're talking about basic, just trying to get my head above water.
Yes.
And at the end of 30 days, I had a calendar filled with gold stars. And that calendar gave me hope that I was worth saving. And that was the beginning of me starting to, inkling inside of me, starting to open myself up to the concept of fear. I didn't have it at that moment yet, but I was willing to change my mind about how I saw myself, how I saw my parents, how I saw the world, and it started infiltrating. And I remember very distinctly the day when I realized it was fear. It was shocking to me, to be honest. It was just shocking. And I know for some people right now listening, thinking, I'm not afraid, because I didn't think I was either. But once you understand how fear really works, I mean, you and I both know now, and most people understand, that fear is an epidemic. And so that is how, my father killed my mother because he was afraid, and my mother stayed with my father for all those years because she was afraid. So fear has infiltrated my life, infiltrated most people's lives, and it has been a detriment to most people. And so it is what I am devoted to, because I don't want anyone else to die because of fear, and I don't want anything else bad to happen because of fear.
Well, it's definitely a survival and a useful feeling.
Yeah, sure.
Intuitively, obviously, it's there to make us survive. The other side of it is that when there is a trauma, whether the trauma is what you went through, or even before that, as you're living in that environment, because that environment eludes itself to the ending of what it had created.
Yes.
There all along. And somehow it's so embedded in the fabric of who we are that we don't recognize it, like you said, because it just, in our system, it does its job, which is us. Like you said, I'm frozen at that moment, and all I can say is a couple of words that comes out of my mouth. You're little, you're a teen, you're shocked, you have no idea what to do with two people who love you, and they're supposed to love you and protect you, and you're standing there in this level of shock. But I can see that based on what you're sharing, that throughout life, that fear was part of the air. You don't recognize it because you just breathe. You're breathing the air of what is.
That's right.
It's amazing for you to, at one point, unveil the air and actually look at what's in there. And you're looking at, yes, it's fear. And out of all that, I've been through, where you've gone to looking at all the dark sides, and your resilience, your patience, your endurance had kept you through all of it. Yes, the biggest trauma, the family dynamic, having to take care of your siblings, and then moving forward, numbing yourself and then coming through that. and finding yourself again and finding the fear. And there's a part, obviously the book says fearless living. Part, as I'm assuming and you're sharing with me, that you recognized it and there's a part of you that started working with it. Tell us how you worked with fear.
Yeah, well, I developed something. So first of all, I love everything you say, of course, and I agree with all of it. And, I like to distinguish between physical fear and emotional fear. And I like to say that physical fear, let's call that instinct for the conversation, that we're instinct to stay alive. And our emotional fear is not easily identifiable, right? Because what we call emotional fear, it really is, what we call it is procrastination. What we call it is complaining. What we call it is overwhelm. What we call it is bitterness. What we call it is regret. What we call it is guilt. We call it anything but what it is. Because any of those things that we're doing that we hate ourselves for, that we just wish we would quit doing, underneath that is a layer of fear that is giving us full permission to do those things in order to keep ourselves safe. So yes, the brain is a safety mechanism. So I developed over the course of me attempting to heal myself, and then of course starting to work with others, I created something called the Wheel of Fear and the Wheel of Freedom. And basically what it is it shows you how fear operates. Because most people just say fear, right? Oh, fear. And again, in the Bible, do not be afraid is the most frequent phrase in the Bible. I mean, any philosophical, spiritual text is do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, right? Yet really, no one ever told me how it actually shows up in life, right? We can do all the brain science, which again, I love the brain science, but none of us changes our lives when we understand the brain science in the middle of a fight with our spouse says, it's my amygdala. It doesn't help us in the moment, right? The understanding does, after and before, but in the moment, we're not necessarily able to catch ourselves. And then we, obviously, you and I both know, is that emotional fear gives us permission to, shame ourselves and blame the other. So what I created is, like I said, the Wheel of Fear that has 4 components. And the first component is what I call the core trigger. And the core trigger is that identity fear that does not want to be found at all costs. Because the brain, as we both know, is geared and wired to keep us safe. If it is found out, it can't keep us safe. So it absolutely cannot be found. And so everybody, when I talk to people and they'll go, I know what I'm afraid of. I'm like, what? Come on, tell me. And they'll say, fear of not being good enough is many people's fear. And what I always say is fear of not being good enough is the generic version of the Wheel of Fear. It's not personalized. It's not unique. It is the generic version. And so the Wheel of Fear is personalized and unique to you. So your Wheel of Fear is going to be different than mine. And like I said, it has 4 components. And the first one is that core trigger, that identity that does not want to be found. So, of course, one of the things that I did is create exercises to help you find it. And then we move from the core trigger. If we get triggered, we move into fear responses. And this is what people know. This is the thing that people know, right? Everybody knows their fear responses. They don't call it fear responses. They just call it my bad behavior or the things I regret or the shame I have. They don't see it as fear responses. And people ask me like, well, what's the one thing I could do? What's the first thing I could do to help me, master my fear? The first thing to do is to start relabeling, reframing every time you think you're doing something bad or think you put yourself down or negative self-talk. You go, wait a minute, that's a fear response. Negative self-talk is a fear response. So if you just start giving yourself distance between you and it, you'll be able to actually take back your power and not feel so overwhelmed or overcome or powerless to change it. So just reframing is really impactful.
The first is the awareness, right? And my theory is called awareness integration. So my brain just takes what you say and put it in my.
Sure, of course, we all do that. Yeah, we all do that.
So the first thing is the awareness, and not only the surface awareness as you're sharing, to go beyond what we create as a like a generality that our brain goes through. We've heard it before, these words to show up, but not only to go to that, but to also go, because when you were sharing, like, I'm not enough and stuff, what is my personal? As I was saying, I was like, yeah, what is my personal? And mine went, because I don't matter. And it took me exactly to the memories of, where is it that I got it, that I don't matter? And the fear of not mattering just means like it's useless. Like you shouldn't even live because you don't matter. So what's the point, right? So it takes right into a space where that there's such a grief and such a sadness where, wanting to get out of it. And then there's a fear of going back into that depth of pain. So part of that fear, like you were sharing, there's a fear of survival from some predator from outside, but there's also this fear of going and experiencing pain, which is the emotional fear, which is inside of us. And those are the winds that you're talking about that are hidden in a sense back. So it's the awareness of what that is, and then dealing with it, being with it. And that's where you're saying that there's a release that actually happens. Did I get that right from what you said?
Yeah. So there's a wheel of fear and there's a wheel of freedom.
Yes.
And, just like you said about awareness, once you understand what your wheel of fear is, once you understand that thing that is the core identity fear that you do not want to find at all costs, that it does not want to be found at all costs. Not even you. It doesn't want to be found at all costs. And it will play games with you because it is, I always say fear is as tricky as you are, right? It's as smart as you are. So when fear is as smart as you are, it will do everything to not be found. So you need that level of awareness that you're talking about. And again, going back to the fear responses, just starting to be aware of those fear responses, as you know, changes the game. Because it's literally like if you're willing to just look at yourself with loving eyes, kind eyes, compassionate eyes, right? And look at everything you're doing from a perspective of, am I in fear or am I in freedom? Am I acting from my, what I call the essential nature, or am I acting out from my wheel of fear? Which one am I acting out? Because each and every moment we're deciding unconsciously, immediately, if we're in freedom or in fear. And once we can start experiencing that, seeing that, saying that out loud, naming it, then we take back our power and we have more awareness so that we can move on to our wheel of freedom. Because that's the goal. The minute we notice we're on our wheel of fear, we want to jump over to our wheel of freedom. But do you mind if I give everyone a little quiz on their fear responses?
Yeah, but before you do that, something showed up for me because I also work in the field of addiction 30 years. So as you also shared about the use of alcohol, and what you just said is a jewel, because the reason that all addicts, including myself, when I see myself as an addict, with food and that kind of thing, the lying that we do to ourselves, it has to do with that fear, because we lie consistently to ourselves. That's part of the condition, the disease of addiction, is lying to yourself. Even without that, we all lie to ourselves consistently. We live on our own delusion.
Yeah.
As you were sharing, the key term for that lying is the fear. And go for the test.
Yeah, no, I love that you stopped and said that, because I've been sober 37 years, and I've had a few of my close, there's been some family members that have actually been dealing with addiction the last few years. And so just watching it from being sober for so long and watching them at their, fresh state of a year, 2 years, going through the awareness that they might have a problem, it's amazing how much fear drives that, right? Drives that behavior. I mean, of course, I don't want to think about my parents. And of course, I don't want to experience that, right? So I'll just drink. And, of course, I lied to myself. After my parents died, I was 14. I was going into the 10th grade. And so I had 3 years of school left. I didn't drink the whole time in high school because I was in my hometown. And I didn't, I was like, I wanted to keep up my image, and I almost wanted to keep the image of who I was, or who my mother thought I was, or that straight A student. I wanted to keep her alive in that town. I only started drinking when I went away to college 6 hours away. And then nobody knew me and nobody knew my story. So I could drink and nobody would be like, oh, Rhonda, right? They might be doing that, but they're not blaming it on my parents' death, right? Because if I drank at home, while they, in the town that they died in, everybody would have just, thought of me like, right? Yeah, they would have just blown me off. So drinking, I was like, no, I will not drink. And then the minute I got to college and could numb that pain, oh yes, I did it, right? So let me give a little quiz for everyone because, again, most people don't even know that they're afraid, like me. So if you're listening to us right now or watching us right now, if you're able, go ahead and shut your eyes. If you can't, please don't. And I want you to nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. So nod your head if you do any of these things or feel any of these things. And again, make sure you're in a safe place to do this. So here we go. Do you ever isolate yourself? Do you ever pretend everything is okay when it's not? Do you ever hide out? Do you ever settle? Do you ever compare? Do you ever secretly manipulate? Do you ever get defensive? What about judge? Do you complain? Procrastinate? What about worry? Do you wait and call it patience? Do you struggle? Do you blame? Do you try to control? Do you deflect? What about feeling bitter or powerless, self-centered, dissatisfied? What about resentful or entitled? What about guilty? Do you ever feel disappointed? Do you find yourself being a perfectionist or a people pleaser? Do you feel indifferent, overwhelmed, ignored, irritated like now, victimized, annoyed, get caught in self-pity?
I
So
know
go ahead and open your eyes. And what percentage did people have?
so much. I would feel like one of these, figurines that you get.
Yeah. I don't care if I'm speaking to one person or 100 people or 1,000 people. When I ask, everybody who has 50%, everybody's like, yeah. And I go 80%, and they're like, yeah. And then they get up to 90 and they're like, yeah. And most people have over 90%, and a big percentage have 100%. And so this is how people identify fear. They don't call it fear. They just call it, I'm feeling bitter. I'm feeling resentful. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So this is the first thing that people can do to start taking back their power, is just starting to reframe when they're feeling, defeated or frustrated or irritated or complaining. Instead of beating themselves up and thinking they're weak-willed and horrible people and, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this, just go, oh, I wouldn't be complaining if I wasn't afraid of something. Why would you bother complaining if you weren't afraid of something? Why would you get bitter unless you were afraid of something? So think of it as there's always a fear underneath that is birthing that behavior. So first thing that you can do is start reframing all of those things. Instead of blaming yourself, right, and shaming yourself, instead go, fear's on patrol. I see. There's fear here. Okay, got it. And then you can start making different choices.
Beautiful. Let me see. Everyone, fearless living.
Aw,
Live without excuses and love without regret by Rhonda Britten.
that's right.
Rhonda,
Thank you for that.
You have a program that is going to be launching. You're launching your next level of legacy.
I am so excited.
Yes, you've had a rich experience. You've experienced things not only theoretically out there, but you've experienced it internally. You've been through it. You've walked through it, and I can't even say for us, and you can tell me that I'm wrong, that I've conquered it and it's done. It's a moving target.
That's right.
Constantly,
That's right.
we're learning, we're moving, and we're learning. But the best thing is that as we're learning and moving, that we share what we've done that worked for us and many people, because you've coached so many people, and you kind of look at, okay, so far I've done this, and this is the next level because it worked for me. It worked for the people who I shared it with as a coach. And then I want to tell the world. So tell the world, what is the next level of the growth?
Well, you are so kind. Thank you. Well, I am so excited because in the last year, I am turning 65. Now, this is where you go, you don't look it, right?
64 next week. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're just a year younger than me. It's so funny. All of my friends, I was the youngest in my class. I started kindergarten when I was 4. So I was always the youngest. And I would have to say, like, 3 of my best friends are all 1 year younger than me, and all born within a month of me. So I find that so hysterical. And they're all like with 3 kids. I'm the middle of 3 girls, and they're all like the middle child of, it's hysterical. And so now you are added to the list because you are a year younger than me. So as I'm hitting, 65, and I'm really looking back at my life and my career, and I'm a God girl, and so God has just been like, it's time to share it all, and I'm like, yeah, it is. So I have a particular philosophy around coaching that I do not find out in the world. And I have created a life coach certification program. That's my big certification program for certified fearless living coaches. But what I'm doing now is, there's a lot of certified coaches or therapists that want to know my tools or my skill work because I have 8 proprietary skills, and also about the wheels, how to do the wheels, right? And they want to get that training, but they don't want to go through the whole certification program. So it's taken me a few years to really figure out a way to do this in a really impactful, powerful way. And I am just launching the tool certification. And it is my 26 most powerful tools and 14 of my most powerful concepts. And I have created them in a way that supports the coach, therapist, wellness practitioner, et cetera, to use them with their client. They're all packaged. They're beautiful. You can, put your name on them and make them your own. And I also have bundles, so you can use them for webinars and workshops and, your coaching arc. So it really takes a client through, whether it's mindset or resilience, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really using all the tools that I created that are proprietary to me. And I've never shared them before and given them to other coaches and other therapists to use. And I am so excited to do it. I'm actually launching it. I'm in the middle of starting it right now as we speak. And yeah, I can't wait for coaches and therapists to be able to use these tools, because I am a firm believer that insight and intuition, intuition is lovely. And of course, I intuitively coach all the time. You, I'm sure, do. Most good coaches intuitively coach. Yet, I think most people that intuitively coach don't necessarily move their clients in the way that they could, because they don't have structure around it, right? They're just having great conversations and they're just having insights. But you and I both know insights aren't enough. So these tools are meant to take that intuition and take your intuition and take that insights that you have and give it a vehicle in which to use to embody, accountable, plant it, land it, embody it. And so I've created, this is what I'm super excited about, for those 40 tools and concepts, I've created something called the Diagnostic Index. And there is a question for every single tool and concept. So let's say you're not sure what to do with your client, you're in between sessions, you're trying to figure it out. You just go through the list and it tells you exactly what tool to use, tells you exactly what concept to use. So you're never going to have to wonder or worry, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this client. Don't worry about that. I do. I know exactly what you should do. And so there's different categories, like, risk-taking ones, there's emotional regulation ones, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm so excited because you can hand it to your client. There's a cheat sheet for you, and then one piece of paper for your client, or 2 pieces of paper, depending on how big the exercise is. And it's all exercise and reflection. And it's all something for them to do so that they can embody that work that you've been doing with them and those beautiful insights and intuition.
Beautiful. So I'm sure that coaches who are listening to us, therapists who are listening to us, who are interested in getting the certification and getting all of these tools would be elated to have what you've learned, what you've created with all of the clients, for them to also have the tools. I also want to go back to the Fearless Living book. What is it that the people can find in that book specifically, that they could go to the book? What is it that you wanted them to know?
Well, Fearless Living, the book, I have a course called Fearless Living Transformation Program. And the Fearless Living Transformation Program is the Fearless Living book come to life, right? Fearless Living book is I shouldn't say the entire, because there's so much more now, but it's the main arc of how to move from fear to freedom. So not only do I talk about the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom, but I also talk about the 4 no's. I talk about fear busters and fear junkies. I talk about how to risk, how to risk how do you take a risk, really? We say go take a risk, but really that is not easy to do. It's like, oh, risk, go do it. No, you can't. So I talk about it a little bit differently than most people do. So basically, when you go through Fearless Living, the book, you are literally going through a program. You're literally going through the Fearless Living Transformation Program. So I always say to people, I've always been devoted for the last 30 years to give people, depending on their budget and their time, a tool that they can use. So whether it's the book for 12, $15, depending on where you get it used or get it free in a library, right? So you can do this and just literally there's exercises. I'm a coach. I'm very practical. So every chapter, everything has exercises. So you're going to be able to go through it. Or you get on Fearless Living Transformation Program and you watch me doing videos and you work with a coach to find your wheels. Or you come to a live event. I teach those. I used to teach before pandemic. We did like 20 live events a year. And so since the pandemic, obviously that has changed dramatically, but I still do live events, whether it's live on Zoom or whether it's live in person. And I sometimes do those Fearless Living weekend workshops. So there's different ways to do it. And of course you can work with a coach as well if you'd like to work privately. So there's tons of ways for you to get support.
So my question that shows up for me is, we've talked about the fear. We've talked about, how to become a coach and how to gain all of these as someone who wants to experience it. I want you to share, because we said from freedom, from fear to freedom. I want you to share the experience of freedom.
The experience of freedom, I'm going to speak for myself because I think people would define it differently. And I think it's really important that everyone defines it for themselves, because it might have the same taste and texture and sense, but you're going to put different words on it than I will. But really, freedom for me is peace. If I have peace, then I have full permission to make decisions out of a place of trust and knowingness and faith. If I'm in fear, I'm going to hold back and skew and doubt and ask 100 million people what I should do, right? There's no self-trust. So one of the ways that you trust yourself is that you do have peace, right? So peace to me, and it's so young, it was so funny because when I was younger, I never understood peace of mind. I didn't even understand what that meant. But now peace is everything. If I have peace, then I am in flow. I'm on my wheel of freedom. I'm in my essential nature. I am being authentic and I am being myself. So it's all about peace for me.
No, I really get that when you said the word flow kept coming to me, and then you also said it. It's like this space that you are ready to be with what is.
What is.
And to be able to handle what is from the freedom of being with it and then choosing at that moment of what could be versus kind of being stuck or held back or not having the ability to be with what is, either resisting it or denying it or moving away from it, and therefore not allowing yourself to have these experiences that you could, because you're holding yourself back in the cage.
And even loving yourself and being at peace with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can be feeling stuck and I can be at peace, right? So it's like, yeah, allowing yourself to have peace allows that, like you're saying, like it allows the glue to get unstuck, let melt away. And if you have like you said, then you have no judgment, you have no expectations, you have no attachments, and you can listen to source, and you can take action from source, and you can live a life, as I say, live the life your soul intended. And that's what I want. My mother never got to live that life. She died when she was 39 years old and leaving my father for the first time. She actually was buried on her 20th wedding anniversary. And it was like she was just saying no, right? She just stood up and said, no, I'm leaving. And she had tried before. So it's like, I am devoted and committed to anyone who wants to live the life their soul intended.
Absolutely. What is it we haven't shared that you really want people to know?
Well, if there's one thing that I could have everyone absorb into their cells and take into their being, is this. So if everyone could shut their eyes for a minute, put their hand on their heart, do that corny thing, and just listen to my words. There is nothing wrong with you. It is just fear. There is nothing wrong with you. It is just fear. There is nothing wrong with you. It is just fear. Let that soak into your being. Breathe that in. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just fear. Yes, remember that. Remember that. That is the truth. And let that shame just dissolve, and all those expectations and all those burdens and all that stuckness, just let it melt away because there is nothing wrong with you. It is just fear. And so it is.
Get this little girl giggling in there. It's like this connection, and then first it was this peaceful connection, and there's like this, ooh, like the awe, the wonder that I'm ready to go and play. If it's
because you're alive, right? Because you're alive. Because that's the other thing when you're in your zone, when you're in peace, when you have that freedom, you're alive.
yes,
And most people are not alive.
yes, true. Where can people find you, Rhonda?
fearlessliving.org, and I have a fear quiz, fearlessliving.org/quiz, QUIZ, fearlessliving.org/quiz. And that quiz is going to help you find your core trigger, your core fear.
Beautiful. It was such a joy to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was so fun.
Yes, I really enjoyed. I learned a lot. And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And if you liked what we talked about, please share it with everybody else. Thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy, developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine, is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.